and JG at a great place, the House of Yahweh Homestead. The history of the House of Yahweh is some of the most wonderful history known to mankind. And I highly encourage you, yes, praise Yahweh. House of Yahweh, the best. I highly encourage you to get the Lost Faith book. It's a wonderful book. House of Yahweh Established. Go into the history. There's some videos about the establishment of the House of Yahweh. These things show the history of the House of Yahweh. Refresh yourself in these things, because the prophecies, they're shown in prophecies, and it's shown by Yahweh that this is the place. There is no other, and it's the only place that's fulfilling the prophecies about the last days work of Yahweh. And Yisrael Bill Hawkins is the only one who's been appointed by Yahweh to preach these things. So Yahweh bless you with a great Sabbath. If you'll all please stand. I have the joy and honor to turn over to a great priest in Yahweh's house, the great Kohan Benyamin Crause Hawkins.
Shabbat Shalom. Yahweh's peace be with everyone, everywhere. Please be seated. Wow, that's really tough nowadays. Okay, well, let's just get right into this, right? I'm from Alaska. We don't like to make small talk, and I never have much time. I like that song. We don't have much time. Okay, let's put it up there. Title slide. Let's read it. This is Ephesians 1:10. The title is, "For the administration of his house at the completed time, to gather together in one to himself under one head, both the things which are yet in the heavens and the things also for the earth in him." You see that tag there, 1074, right? Okay, and we're going to learn about this administration that began in this choosing of this administration that began in the beginning, and we are now at the end of this choosing period of this administration of Yahweh that's fixing to go into action. Can we have the next slide? I was reading from Ephesians 1:9 and 10. I'll read it again. Having revealed to us here in the house of Yahweh the great secret of his plan, according to his righteous pleasure, which he has purposed to himself. And again, for the administration of his house at the completed time, to gather together in one to himself under one head, the Messiah. Now, in that last slide, I took out the Messiah because I want you to remember Messiah is working with who? Yisrael Hawkins. Remember, the council of peace is between them both. In these last days, both the things which are yet in the heavens and the things also for the earth in him. Now, revealing the great secret to us, 322, pastor's tag on one of his vehicles, and Yeshua, Yisrael, the one head that we're all under at this time in the house of Yahweh, learning from 1934. That's when Yeshua began beholding this man that he was told to behold, the branch. And we'll get into that later in other sermons that are coming up. Now let's go to the next slide. Today, I bet you thought you heard the end of that number 996, right? Sorry, you're going to be hearing about that all the way through Pentecost, possibly into next year, because it's so deep, the secrets that Yahweh has in that number. I'll just give you a heads up today. Yeshua 28, 2022. It's also 2/22, 2020. I'm sorry. Yeshua 28, 2020, 2/22, 2020. You see that number 996, right? Now, the title of the sermon that I'm working off is from this book, The End of the Ages, Part 1, the 11th book of Israel. Sermon from 2:511 entitled, The Administration of Yahweh Was Planned from the Beginning, number 1. Subtitle, The End is the finishing of Yahweh's plan of the administration that will guide this world and universe. Okay, so let's go to the next slide and look at that subtitle there. You put that in your matria, notice you get the 996. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of meanings to 996. You heard some in the last few weeks about Pastor on the Sea of Glass making his vow on 996 and how the Sea of Glass tied into 996. Okay, let's look at some definitions of 996 again. It says above, forehead. Keep those in your mind. Above, forehead. Think of an administration, by the way, too, when you think of the word above. From 995, cared, acted wisely, consider carefully, learned, paid close attention. Now, this is telling you what you're going to have to do to become a part of this administration. Skillful, teachers, understanding and discerning, inform, instruct, teach, direct, and attend. Remember what an administration does, as we're going to learn a little later. Strong's Greek 996 means help, aid, a helper, helping. That's what, if you go through this sermon that I'm quoting from, you'll see about the terms that Pastor brought up about what administration means. You know, helping, attending, serving, aiding. In fact, meeting urgent needs. Okay, that's what 996 means. It means meeting urgent needs. Now, Yahweh, does he not meet our needs? Does he not meet urgent needs at all times? Yahweh is a very present help in trouble, he says. He's going to prove to you that he is the top administrator and that we're to learn from him to be administrators. Okay, now watch how he helped this last day's work and how he always has us on the forefront of his mind, in front of us in his plan on that sea of glass, and that Yeshua even has pastor's tag on his head. Look at that second number, 6731. It means plate. Plate. And it's talking about the gold plate, not just a license plate, but a gold plate that the high priest wears on his mitre. Okay? Now watch this. And it's from 6692. It means to gaze, look. Gaze, look. Meaning, you know, pay attention. Keep your eye on. Behold, the branch. Let's go to the next slide. Let's look at this plate of gold that he's talking about here. Plate of gold 1074. Notice you get 322. That's the other plate. Okay? 2144 means, from 2143, it means memorial, a remembrance. Now, there's a picture there next to the pastor's plate of the high priest in his garb. That's from the Holy Garments book. I don't know how well you can see what he's wearing on his head, but there's a plate there that reminds him of something, keeps him in remembrance. It says holy to Yahweh on it. Remember Kodesh li Yahweh? It says remember. From 2142, remember. 2144 in the Greek means approved, acceptable. When you add up all these numbers in plate of gold 1074, you get 4398, and it means Moloch. From 4397, messenger, prophet, priest, teacher. Now, who would that be? The one that owns that tag, right? That plate, that gold plate. Strong's Greek 4398 is from 4396, and again, it means prophet, foreteller, spokesman. Remember Isaiah 44, let them foretell them, the two witnesses, and remember the spokesman of the two witnesses in Revelation 11? I believe it's 11:5. Who's the spokesman of the two witnesses? Yliyah Hawkins. Now look, a crown of glory it's called, and a diadem of beauty it's called in one scripture. Notice 322. The GMK 1074 plate, 1962. We just heard the great deacon tell us about that year, 1962, when Pastor and his brother went on the radio in Eastland, Texas, and began broadcasting to the world, actually. You know, I mean, it started out where it only went so far. But if you remember, I believe the, what they call those waves, don't they go everywhere throughout the universe? Let's look at some more proof. Can I have my next slide? This is known as the heavenly plate. You want to know why it's called a heavenly plate? There's two reasons. It's from Yahweh, and it's on the sea of glass, and Yahweh, as an administrator, can meet urgent needs, and he does it when we're not even paying attention half the time. How many times were you walking down a road and a meteor landed behind you? I mean, how do you know? I'm sorry, maybe that's pretty extreme. Maybe you were driving down the road and you had to pull over for some reason, and then, that's because that deer had to cross the road, before you kept going, so you didn't hit it, right? Yahweh is always in full control of our lives, okay? And sometimes you hit a few deer too, like I have, and you still make it. I don't know how, but the car didn't make it, but I did. And the poor deer didn't make it either. Okay, so let's look at this heavenly plate. Now, notice the first tag number, it's pastor's tag 1074, but that other number is 1478, and it means to expire. Expires. It means that plate was going to expire, right? Wasn't there a law in Texas that said after 7 years you had to change your plate? Yeah, there was until the year 2016 when pastor was issued that plate. Because Yahweh said, no, that's a forever plate. Okay? That's not going anywhere. Now watch this. It means to expire, expires, but watch how Yahweh jumped in and met urgent needs. 1478 in the Greek is the word hiskia, and it comes from two words, 3050, Yahweh, of course, and 2388, which means helped. Remember? Administrator, helper? Helped, maintain. In other words, you're going to maintain this plate. You're not going to lose it. Aid, amend. Yes. If you'll notice right here at the bottom, the law was amended on a certain day. It was amended, this law, by the Texas DMV.gov. This is from their website. I'm taking it word for word. Let's read it. It says, license plates. As part of your vehicle registration, you are issued a set of general issue license plates. The plate number is assigned to you by TXDMV, Texas Department of Motor Vehicles, and cannot be personalized. As of 11/1/2016, you see that? 11/1? Pay attention to that number. The state of Texas will no longer automatically replace your plates after 7 years. So on 11/1/2016, the very year that pastor was issued that plate in 2016, Yahweh jumped in because he said, no, that's a forever plate. We're not going to ever change that number. Okay? Okay, now watch this. Let's prove this was done for Israel. Next slide. Put in what I just read in the Gematria. Now, the only thing I changed is I took the name of that God out of there in November. And I just put, as of 11/1/2016, I changed that date. I took November out. That's all I changed. And look what number you got. 2474 from Hebrew 3478. Yisrael. Yisrael. He changed that law for Yisrael. Now, 1454 is the second number. And it means from 2088, it means the one, the other. Remember the two witnesses? 2088, go back and read the two witnesses in the study guide. And that very number, 2088, is explained about the two witnesses. And notice this Strong's Greek 1454 means resurrection. Are we not in the time of the resurrection? A resurgence from death from 1453, it means to awaken, to rise, to raise up. Now get this, from 58, to gather. To gather, remember? The administration, to gather together into one unity, one body right here. Whose job is that? It's all of our job with Israel, right? And Yahshua. And Yahweh, right? It's all a unity, right? Okay, now watch. It means to gather, to bring together. Think of the word Abilene. That's what the word Abilene means too. A place of assembly, a market or thoroughfare. Well, that won't mean much to you unless you know about farm to market roads. You know what about a farm to market road? If you don't, you're going to. Watch. Next slide. farm to market roads, you know those FMs like FM 603, FM 604? It's called farm to market road. Farm to market road is 1074. So whenever you see those signs, think of 1074 pastor, right? His tag. Because those roads were made for one purpose. To bring everyone here. To bring everyone here. This is the place of safety. Okay? Did you know that the farm to market road system is the second largest road system in the United States? And it's right here in the state of Texas. Yeah, everywhere you go in Texas, there's FMs. South Texas, North Texas, East and West, there's farm to market roads. And they're the longest string of roads in the country next to the, I believe, the interstate system. Well, what an amazing coincidence, right? Let's go to the next slide. And watch this. All right. So from the day Pastor was born to 11/1, when that date was changed, it was 986 months. Can you flip the number? Okay, you can do it yourself. Just open your book of Yahweh to the last page, 986, and just flip it. And you'll see it's still a 986, right? Well, there's a reason for that. 986 means trust, confidence, hope. And that's where your hope and confidence should be, right here. In every word, right here. From 982, put your trust, to hide for refuge, secure, from 2620, to seek refuge, has a refuge, seek refuge, make refuge, to flee for protection. To flee for protection. Well, flee where for protection? In the same sermon I'm quoting from, in verse 123, Pastor says, so if you want to add that over here to this ages, generation, as is shown by the great apostle Shaul, it means a generation. It means time. It means become. It signifies a begetting or birth. Begetting or birth, that is, being born into the Yahweh family. The change that is going to take place. We shall all be changed in the twinkling of an eye. Remember the resurrection period we just read about? You remember the rest of it? At the last trumpeter. At the last trumpeter. Well, who is the last trumpeter? He's asking you a question. You know. So here's another question. Who is this trumpeter? Laughing. Okay, family. It signifies a begetting or birth. Hence, that which has been begotten, a family. Isn't that beautiful? Praise Yahweh. Applause. Put that in there just the way it's written in the book of Israel. It's 3478, and look, it means Yisrael. He's the trumpeter. He's the trumpeter. He's the seventh Malach. Watch this. From the third book of Israel, chapter 4, verse 123, Pastor says, verse 7, but in the days of the voice of the seventh Malach, when he will begin to sound, the great secret of Yahweh would be finished. This great secret of forming his priesthood. Remember this administration, which you are the remnant of this day. You are the last days witnesses to this thing, the forming of his house in these last days. The great secret of Yahweh would be finished as he declared to his servants, the prophets. Now notice, you get 2474 again, which is the same number you saw on the date of that, or on the law that they passed on that tag. And 2474 is from Hebrew 3478. And again, it means Yisrael. Can you go all the way to slide 25, where it says Daniel 2:22? Because today is 2:22, right? Is today 2:22 on the Roman calendar? Are you there? There you go. Daniel 2:20 says, you reveal